Hi, Vanessa here. In this video we are making the Flight of the Bumblebee slouch, named after the stitch used. This is mostly purl stitches, so if you absolutely hate purl stitches, this pattern is not for you. If you would like to purchase the PDF pattern to follow along, the links are available in the description box, and it does come in 4 different sizes. We're going to be making a child size. So for the materials, you will need a set of knitting needles, US 13, which is 9 millimeters, and US 15, 10 millimeters. You will need a ball of Wool Ease Thick and Quick. This is Lion Brand's. This one is the Wool Ease Thick and Quick. I used about 1 ball, and I think it's about 106 yards. I didn't use it all, but you probably will if you choose to make the pom-pom out of the yarn. And if you do choose to make a yarn pom, you'll need a pom-pom maker. I'll leave a link for it, but I am not demonstrating in this tutorial. You'll need a pair of scissors, a stitch marker, tapestry needle, and a tape measure. Okay, so I'm going to start with a long tail cast on, and I'm going to cast on 40 stitches. So now you want to make sure that the tail end is in front of you, and then you're going to grab your loop here, place your thumb and finger inside the loop using the rest of your hand. You want to hold on to the tail and the working yarn. Okay, so you're going to place your needle right under here, and then just place your finger there to hold it still, and then you're going to pull it back and go under your thumb, the first strand here, and then over this side, and then going from the top down, okay, and then back through this loop, and then pull and try to make it a little snug. Okay, now that is 2 stitches. Okay, so we're going to do that again. So we're going to pull back, okay, and going under the first strand here where your thumb is, we're going to insert our needle, and then over here from the top down, and then we're going to go through, and then we're going to go through this loop here on your thumb, okay, just like that, and then pull. Okay, I'll leave a link for a slower tutorial, but you want to cast on 40 stitches. I have 40 stitches here. I'm going to cast on 1 more stitch, and that is for joining the round. So I'm going to join with the invisible joining method, and that requires an additional stitch. Now before you join, make sure that your work is not twisted. If you're working with a long circular needle, sometimes it's hard to find the twisted parts of your work, okay? So if it's twisted like this, then that's going to turn out all wonky. So make sure it's not twisted. What you want to do now is grab this stitch here on your left hand needle, inserting your right hand needle purlwise, so as if to purl. Remove it from the left hand needle. Now grab the next stitch here from your right hand needle and pass it over the one you just slipped over, and drop it, and then just tug on the 2 strands here to tighten the tension. So that was the extra stitch that we casted on that has now been dropped. So we're back to 40 stitches. Place your marker on your right hand needle, and now we're going to start with a 1x1 ribbing. So for this ribbing, I'm going to work a twisted knit stitch. So we're going to knit through back loop. A normal knit stitch is worked through the front loop like that. We're going to work through the back loop like this. So we're going to knit through back loop in the first stitch. We're going to purl the next stitch. Knit through back loop in the next stitch and purl in the next. Repeat the knit through back loop and purl all the way around your needles. I'm on my last stitch. I'm going to go ahead and purl. And when you get back to the stitch marker, you just want to slide your stitch marker over. And then we're going to repeat that last round until we have about 6 or 7 rounds. And that really depends on how wide you want your brim. So this part here, knit through back loop and purl. If you get lost, just look at the last round. You should knit the knit stitches and purl the purl stitches. Once you have enough rows for the brim size that you want, you're going to switch your needles out to the 10mm. So I'm going to switch my needles to a larger size. You can keep the 9mm if you like, the US 13. I don't think for this one it's going to make a whole lot of a difference. You can see in this sample here, the 10mm expands the work up here. So if you wanted to keep it a little more narrow, you could just keep your US 13 needle size and continue the body portion. I'm going to stop here for this video just so that I can move along. For round 1 and 2, you're just going to purl every stitch around. Now we're ready for round 3. For round 3, we are going to start with purl 3 stitches and then knit long stitch. So the repeat around is purl 3 and 1 long knit stitch. So purl the first 3 stitches. To work a long knit stitch, you're going to insert your needle 2 rounds below. Since these are purl stitches, you can see the bumps, the purl bumps. This is the current or last round of the purl stitch, and then there's one right here. What I do is count 2 purl bumps and then stick my needle in right under the second purl bump. Because we're knitting this long stitch, we're going to place our yarn in the back. Again, count 2 purl bumps, and right under the second purl bump, insert your needle and then knit from down there. Make sure that you tug and pull it up to where your current round is, and then drop the stitch on your left hand needle. So now yarn in the front, purl 3, 2, and 3. So now we need to work the long knit stitch. Count 2 purl bumps, insert your needle right below the second purl bump, and knit the stitch. Pull it up and then drop the stitch on your left hand needle. So now yarn in the front, purl 3, yarn in the back, knit long stitch under the second purl bump, pull up your loop and drop this stitch here. Go ahead and repeat that all the way around. For the next 3 rounds, we're just going to purl every stitch around. So I'm going to go ahead and work rounds 4 through 6 with just purl stitches, and then we will get ready for round 7. I've completed rounds 4 through 6. Now we're ready for round 7. For round 7, we're going to purl 1 and then work our long knit stitch. And that is because our last knit stitch, or long knit stitch, is over here, and there's 3 stitches here, and we're going to work the second set of long knit stitches in between. So they are staggered and not directly on top of each other. So we've purled 1. We're going to count 2 purl bumps and insert our needle right below that second bump and knit our stitch. Pull up your loop and drop the stitch on your left hand needle. We're going to purl 3, and then work a long knit stitch. So it's pretty much the same as round 3, except we're staggering where we're placing the long knit stitches. So repeat all the way around, and you're going to end with 2 purl stitches at the end here. We're now ready to work round 8, and that is the last round of our 8-round repeat. For round 8, you're just going to purl every stitch around. So you want to repeat rounds 1 through 8 until your beanie measures approximately 10 to 11 inches tall, and you're going to be measuring that from the bottom of your brim all the way up to your needles. And you want to end after you've completed rounds 4 or rounds 8. So mine is about 10 inches. I'm going to stop here. And you want to make sure that you measure from the bottom of the brim, so the whole beanie. Now we're ready for the decrease rounds. So the decrease is going to be pretty quick. So this pattern is not really suitable for a fitted beanie. So you're going to purl 2 and then purl 2 together. So that's just the repeat all the way around. Purl 1, purl 2. To purl 2 together, you insert your needle through both loops and purl both stitches at the same time. Purl 2, 1, 2, and purl 2 together. Purl 2 and purl 2 together. So go ahead and repeat purl 2 and purl 2 together all the way around. I've completed round 1 of decrease. I'm going to move my stitch marker over, and I'm going to start on decrease round 2. So for round 2, you're just going to purl every stitch around, so nothing fancy here. Round 3 of decrease, we're going to repeat the first round, so purl 2 and then purl 2 together. Round 4 of decrease is going to be purling every stitch around, so it's just like round 2 of decrease. My last round of decrease is going to be purl 2 and then purl 2 together. I'm going to cut my yarn, and make sure you leave enough yarn to weave in your ends. Grab your tapestry needle. Now you want to start pulling these stitches off of your needles. So just insert your needle through the loops. I just go knitwise, so as if to knit, and then just pull them right off. You can do several at once to save time. Here is the last stitch. Just pull on it to tighten the top. And then once you close the top there, just insert your tapestry needle back into that hole. And then turn your beanie inside out. And then to secure the top a little more, I like to just go through the loops up here and then just tighten it and go across. So if you insert through a loop here, insert through a loop on the other side. If you're going to add a yarn pom, leave the tail attached. So to tie it off, just wrap your yarn around once. I usually wrap more than once if I'm using a lighter weight yarn. So weave this in if you're not going to put a pom. I recommend leaving this if you're going to follow my pom tutorial, so that you can attach it with the tail. And then you want to weave in your beginning tail as well on your brim. Okay, full disclosure, I did not end on the round that I instructed you to end. That was an error on my part, but if you're wondering why my decrease area looks bigger than yours, that's why. I have a few poms here that I'm going to attach to this one. I do have a tutorial on how to make your own poms, but I just don't have the time anymore. So I found these on Amazon, and I felt like they were pretty affordable, and they're really pretty, nice and soft, lightweight, and already has a little loop. So it was a great deal. I bought 2 different packs. One was more colorful and the other one was more neutral. I'll leave links for those if you're interested, but I'm going to attach one of these to this beanie. I think I'm going to go with this one, more rainbow-ish. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.